Hey Flosstube, here it is the middle of June already. I think my last video was the beginning of April and I was doing them kind of close together, and I was going to do monthly updates and have it all the first of every month, and you know how that goes. So that didn't happen. Life happened, but that's okay. It's probably better that way because I didn't get much stitching done. Not much really going on, just the craziness of life and the kids, and one day goes into the next, and you know, I don't know how this video is going to look because the lighting looks all from here, it looks interesting, right? So I don't know, my Kindle is not the best thing to use, but it's what I got, so it's what I'm going with. So I'm going to do the know your stitcher, know your needle worker, right? Thing tag. And then actually I'm going to do my WIP first because I don't have a whole lot to talk about with that, and I don't have a whole lot to do with that. So I've been working, or in theory I've been working, I haven't really done that much on this one. This is the Thomas Kincaid Beauty and the Beast Disney Dreams kit, and I made some progress. I made a little. I've got the castle coming in, which I love seeing that. I'm excited about seeing that in the hot air balloon and the all this nonsense. But yeah, there's the, I'm kind of got that all mangled, but yeah. So the sky is coming together, which is fun. It'll be fun. Excuse me. It will be fun to see it start to come down and start to get some of the village and the greenery in. But what a pretty sky. I love it. Oh, and I got this. That's exciting. A grime guard for my Q Snap. I got it off of Etsy. It's got music notes on it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So, let's see. If you saw any of my other videos, you will know that I had a problem with this kit. Excuse me, I just drank some almond milk, and so now my throat's like all scratchy, so I'm sorry. Anyway, this fabric was not big enough. Like, when I got to the edge, I had to end up gridding it, and it's in another video, the story, but basically the fabric was not the right size to allow for any margin. So I wrote to the company, and they were supposed to send me fabric, and that was the end of February, beginning of March. Still have not gotten the fabric. And I checked with them a couple months ago, I don't know, at some point in between, and they said they were going to send it, and that they had sent it, I think, and I still haven't gotten it. So I told them I was going to wait too to stitch some more, and I went ahead and stitched it anyway. I figured, well, I'll work it out. So they think that I'm waiting. I mean, not that they're thinking about me, but you know, I'm glad that I didn't wait. I'm glad that I did this and went ahead and stitched it, but I still want the fabric. I still want to use it for something else, right? I mean, they owe me it, I think. I feel for a kit, a $50 kit, not to have the right fabric. I mean, I'm glad I found it out before I got all the way done, so I know what to expect. So that's it in WIPs and stitchy stuff, and haven't done any on my Victorian house. I'd love to. I have it sitting in the hallway where I pass it whenever I go by, and I love to look at it, but I haven't picked it back up to work on it yet. This one I leave in the living room on a ledge so that I can look at it a lot. And it's not what you're really supposed to do. Obviously it should be in a bag or something protected, and it's not. It's out, and it gets dirty and dusty, and it's gonna have to have a good wash. But I like to look at it when I see it. It makes me happy to see it, and it also hopefully calls my name once in a while. I sort of had lost that stitch thing, stitchy bug, I guess is what it's called, for a while, and just busy. You know, it's like if you get in the mood and then things come up, especially with kids, and you don't get to it, and then one day goes into another and you just never do it. But it's come back now. Like, I really want to do it. I just want to sit and do it, and I haven't really been able to, but it's getting there slowly. So what a fun, I'm not seeing a lot of these Disney Dreams around that people are working on, but I guess it's because there's a lot of heaven and earth going on. So who has time for this, right? I understand that. It would be fun though if anybody has done one or is working on one or anything. I would love to see that progress. That would be fun. I love those kits. And I love all that. Anyway, so know your needleworker tag. I had it written down what the questions were, and then I lost the paper. And then I didn't rewrite it down. So I'm going to just fly by the seat of my pants here and just say a couple things and see if I remember the questions. I might leave some out, but no biggie. Thank you. I believe it's Nikki. I hope I have that right, for doing the Know Your Needleworker tag. I'm a little late to the game, but hey, you know, we're all joining Flosstube at different times, and I figure it's fine to do that. Here's my daughter. Okay, I'll be right there. Yep, finish. So I'll start with, I believe, is where you live. Where do you live? I live on the Gulf Coast, or the west coast of Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. I've lived here pretty much my whole life, from the time I was 6 weeks till now. And I went to college in Virginia for 2 years. I was actually born in Virginia. And other than that, I've been in Florida. I like it. I would love to have an autumn. I love the autumns up north, and so we're really missing out on that. For sure, that is so magical. It's like being on a completely different realm, planet. So I would love to, you know, I would love to just go up and live up north in autumn and then come down to Florida for the rest of the year. I would be fine with that. But whatever. The summer's you know, not fun sometimes either, but, you know, you make do. So what do I do for a living? There's a weird thing on my screen. I don't know what it's doing. Anyway, what do I do for a living? I am a stay-at-home mom. And as many of you know, that is a lot of different jobs all rolled into one. It's not just one job. I wear many hats, right? Isn't that what we all like to say? Before that, I was a nurse. I was an LPN, which is licensed practical nurse. Sometimes we like to call it the let's pretend nurse or low paid nurse. Haha. And before that, I was the nurse's aide. And I enjoyed that line of work. I would have continued in that and may go back to school. I had almost all of my prereqs done for my nursing, for my RN, which is a bachelor's, associate's or bachelor's program. And when I got pregnant with my first son, so I didn't finish that, but I could always go back, I guess. So I like that. And I work, my husband's a nurse, and my mom's a nurse, and my mother-in-law, and my brother-in-law, and we have a lot of family that's in nursing. And Florida is a good place to be a nurse. A lot of geriatrics here, which geriatrics is my heart. I love working with the elderly. It's a really rewarding job. That was always the field that I wanted to do. It's really special. Children, I have 3 beautiful children, and they are Ryan, who's 7, Colin, who's 5, and Peyton, who's 3, who's the one rustling the papers down here right now. She's drawing. The other 2 are asleep, as she should be, but she's a night owl, and she's just, here she is. So she's sweet as can be. We unschool. We unschool. We homeschool, but we homeschool. So if you're not familiar with that and you want to Google it, feel free. But there are a lot of different methods of unschooling. And there are radical, there's radical unschooling, which we don't really do. But basically, we don't use like a set curriculum or schedule. And it pretty much goes by just living life and letting the child decide what they want to do. For example, and like a good example of unschooling would be for us, like learning to swim, for example. Like we had my son in lessons, swim lessons for 2 years, and he never learned to swim. And then we bought a house with a pool, and he wanted to be able to go in the pool, and so he learned how to swim by just getting in and doing it. So he was motivated to do it. And the same way with piano. he's learning piano now because he wants to learn piano. And yes, he's getting lessons, you know, and learning the steps. You know, it's not just go on and bang and hope something comes of it. You know, you learn, but it's what he's interested in. It's not me saying you have to do this. So, and he's really blossomed. And so he started reading when I backed off and let him take control. It changed everything. So it works for us. I know, you know, it's not for everybody, but that's what we do and what we love. And I was homeschooled myself. Pretty much all my, except for kindergarten. So I have, I'm a huge advocate for that. What was after that? Hobbies, maybe? Obviously cross stitch, gardening. I love gardening. We have a half acre here out in kind of an agricultural area. So we're hoping eventually to be able to turn like half of the yard into garden and have like a semi-sustainable. What are you doing, sweetie? Don't jump on that, okay? A halfway sustainable, you know, garden and grow some stuff after the summer. The summer's hard to grow stuff in Florida. Oh, we want chickens and stuff. Hi, baby girl.
Say hi.
Okay, you can say hi. This is Peyton. You should be asleep, baby girl. What else? Reading. Love to read. Love music. Music makes my world go round. Love it, love it, love it. I play some. I'm not very good. But I do play piano. I used to play violin, viola, cello. Viola was my main instrument. I was in, I played from the time I was 4, and I was in some professional orchestras as a teenager. I taught elementary school students age, you know, music. I was in string quartets, and it was my life. And unfortunately, I got out of it around the time that I got into college. I let it drop, and honey, you gonna knock it? Okay. So, yeah. But that's a huge hobby still, and I love to listen to music and play music and sing music and everything. Like, I can't go a day without music. I have to have it. Have to have it. Now I think, if I'm remembering, is like the favorite stuff. So favorite movie would be Legends of the Fall. I love that movie. I love it. Just a tragic love triangle, unrequited love. What more do you want? You know, I mean, I love that kind of, you know, star-crossed lovers, like Romeo and Juliet type thing. That's kind of, like, I have a romantic side, but it tends to lean towards that kind of, you know, not in real life. I don't like that to happen, but in stories and movies and stuff, that's usually my thing. I love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a huge favorite. Love that. And While You Were Sleeping. Thank you. While You Were Sleeping as a romantic comedy. Just so sweet. I love that one. That's awesome. It seems like, and the Lord of the Ring trilogies. I knew there was something else. Love those two. I could watch those over and over. Favorite TV show is currently BBC Sherlock. Brilliant, brilliant show. All the way around. The actors are wonderful. Benedict Cumberbatch. Need I say more? Ladies and gents. But the cast is amazing. The production, the writing, just from top to bottom is just unparalleled to me. In my opinion, I think it's one of the best shows ever done. So there's only 3 seasons because they make them so far apart. You know, a couple years go by. So it's on Netflix and Amazon. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. While you're stitching, it's well worth your time. And Arrested Development, I love that show. That show is, or was, a cute, like one of a kind to me. I've made a huge mistake. I love that, the humor in that. And I haven't seen the new ones though. I think Netflix did a couple new episodes or something. I need to check those out. I haven't seen those. I don't really watch much TV at all. We have just Netflix and Amazon, and so I watch shows, usually kids shows, which we don't even watch a lot of that, but you know. I like to say that The Monkees is a favorite show, although I really don't watch it, but I just say that as one of my all-time favorite shows because I got into the Monkees when I was younger through the show on Nick at Night when I was 17, and it literally changed my life because I ended up going to a couple shows. I traveled around quite a bit for a few years, and I saw them a couple times. So if it hadn't been for them, my life would be very different, I think. So that I always list. I don't watch it really now, and then Wings, the sitcom in the 90s, Wings is a all-time favorite as well. That was a really funny show to me, and I used to have it memorized, and I made a couple friends through liking that show, strangely enough. Also, I used to run the official Steven Weber fan page. He was on Wings. He was one of the brothers, and loved him. And I had the opportunity, actually, I got to speak with him on the phone a couple of times, and we emailed back and forth for a while. I think it was a couple years. I mean, not all the time, but back and forth. We corresponded for a while. So that was fun. I haven't really kept up with him. I should. I need to. I would love to get back in touch with him and just see, what he's up to and what's up. Love Steven Weber still. He's awesome. So funny. Such a funny, witty guy. He's great. So, favorite book. I would have to say The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogy. And The Hobbit was the first book. That is probably number one, because The Hobbit was the first book really that I got into that was fantasy. It was like my first foray into fantasy, which I love. I love fantasy to this day. And my parents never really read me that. The only thing I remember of my childhood of fantasy was the movie The Never-Ending Story, which is still, I'm very nostalgic and fond of The Never-Ending Story. That I love it. I just love, the whole quest and the princess and the nothing so, but other than that, I didn't really know fantasy at all. So when I read The Hobbit, it was just magical to me. And then that, of course, later, I didn't at that time, but later I went into Lord of the Rings. And those tippity-top books for me, because it just blows me away. Like, the language, the way that Tolkien paints a picture, I mean, you are there. I mean, it's like CinemaScope. I mean, you're just surrounded. And I could read those books and have, actually, start over, after you finish the third one, start at the beginning again, because every time you read it, you get more that you missed the first time. It's just so descriptive. What else? I love C.S. Lewis as an author. All his stuff, especially his writings. I love Narnia, obviously, and read those with the kids. But all his writings, I really appreciate him. What a gift. I love the classics. When I was a teenager, I made it a point to collect all the Bantam paperback classics, and so I would read them all. Most of them I read. Just for fun, just because I liked them, not for any assignment or anything, and I really enjoyed it. And in that vein, I would say that Frankenstein, well, not even in that vein, just standalone, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is a all-time favorite novel. If you haven't read it, read it now, because our culture, our society has made it like this, green, like Boris Karloff thing. And that is so far removed from the novel. It's like missing the point, It's not about just this scary looking thing. I mean, the whole thing is psychologically scary and in a mind way. And it's a really thought-provoking novel. Especially, it's timeless. It's more relevant today perhaps than then. So that one, and then I love Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, the Bronte sisters. I could go on and on. Wuthering Heights was my favorite book when I read it as a teenager, when I was in all that teen angst. Hi, beautiful. And, the Moors and the ghosts and the obsession, and then Jane Eyre bored me. But as I'm older now, Jane Eyre, I love that. I appreciate Jane Eyre so much, and to me it's more romantic than Wuthering Heights, and in a different way. Wuthering Heights, now it's kind of like you're older, you're kind of like, dude, like, move on, like, get over it. You know what I mean? This sounds terrible, and that my romantic side is like totally fighting against that common sense stuff. Like, no, But anyway, I'm totally rambling, but yes, I love Jane Eyre. I love all those classics, but those are the ones that come to mind. And I tend to ramble, so pardon me. I think it's my channel, so I can ramble if I want to. Can ramble if I want to. And that's kind of what we have Flosstube for, right? Admit it, like a little bit, so we can ramble, and we can listen to each other's ramblings and feel like we're all rambling together. And now we're rambling. Now I'm rambling about rambling. So I need to move on. What was the next thing after the book? I don't remember now. What was it? I think it was inspiration. I think I'm skipping something. What am I skipping? Anyway, who inspired you? I knew that was on there. Who inspired you to start your own channel on Flosstube? Oh, music. How could I forget music? Music is huge to me. Music. What's your favorite music? Classical, film scores. I guess film scores and classical kind of maybe go hand in hand. I don't know. A little bit. I mean, obviously they're different, but film scores I love. I collect them. I love them. I'm totally into them. Morricone. Thank you, baby. Here, sit up here. Morricone, Cinema Paradiso. My goodness. So beautiful. Danny Elfman. Obviously John Williams, James Horner, Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, I could just keep rattling them off, and those are just the tip of the iceberg. I just discovered Morricone recently. Like, how did I not know about him? His music is unbelievable. Like, just out of this world. That's the only way I can describe it. Just so beautiful. And classical, love Tchaikovsky and Beethoven and Mozart and all those guys, right? Chopin, Debussy, Debussy, I think is how it is. Not Debussy. Yeah, anyway. And he wrote, like, the most gorgeous stuff, too. But anyway, I like jazz, I like pop, oldies especially. As far as, like, the current stuff, I'm not really into that. I mean, it's okay, but not really. But I love oldies, 60s, some 70s. I'm a sucker for cheesy power ballads. You know, those kind of things I love. Obviously, I mentioned the Monkees before. They would have to be on my list of favorite groups. And the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, Steely Dan. Who else? I also really like people like Jane Monheit and Michael Bublé, who are like, you know, the croony, like jazz. Katie Lang. I had one I was going to say, and I can't remember now what I was going to say. It seemed important. I don't know what it was. Anyways. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So, and musicals. Love musicals as well. What musicals are my favorite? See, I didn't even think. I mean, obviously, like Phantom and Sondheim, Stephen Sondheim. That's a favorite composer, too. I mean, you know, it's not catchy stuff, but boy, you listen to it and it's just, I can't imagine like learning some of that stuff. It's like, see, it must be so challenging to sing, but so fun, so, you know, awesome once you've got it. My thing's getting moved.
Oh, I moved up.
You can come in. Come on, you can come in.
No.
Anyway, okay, so inspiration. I'm going to get cut off any minute. So inspiration would have to be, I would say I first started watching Stitch in May. I think was the first, like, whoops. Oh, I zoomed in. There we go. Stitch in May was the first that I remember watching. And I love her channel. I love that. And that's when I first saw, and I was like, people make cross-stitch videos? Like, really? Why? But then I get to watching more, and I discovered Flosstube and just fell in love and just completely, like, you know, can't get enough Flosstube. So what else? I think it was Carolyn Mazio, I hope I'm saying that right, that inspired me to make my own videos, because for Flosstube, because I was watching her, and you do amazing work, Carolyn, if you're watching, and you're so like informative and helpful, and like your parking